All right, guys, so welcome back into about the third NBA DFS live video that we've done this year. So just been going over a couple of the news and notes for what's to expect for NBA DFS, kind of just, after the break, kind of what to expect. So really with 9 to 5, I really only want to attack the 5, 6, and 7 game slates, maybe the 4 game slates a little bit. And that's why I'm not doing the 2 game slate on Thursday. If anyone's played NBA DFS, they know that those 2 game slates are just ones to avoid. If you guys are coming from PGA, it's pretty much worse than a WGC event in terms of 2 game slates. So that's why I'm going to be focusing mostly on the 5, 6, and 7 game slates. Those are typically my bread and butter. I know earlier on in the year, what was it? It was in between like the ending of the PGA season and like kind of the middle of the NFL season. I gave a little bit of NBA advice there, and I know there was some huge success for about a week there. So it is definitely more hit or miss, and pretty much if you don't have all those flames on your phone when you're checking your lineups, it's not going to be a good night. But with this season, coming back, there's going to be some crazy, plays, whether someone gets the virus or whatnot. It's going to be kind of crazy. I don't think people can mass enter as much as they typically would like to. So I'm pretty excited for this NBA, restart, but it is kind of an interesting one. I'm definitely going to keep my focus on PGA the most, but I do always love NBA. My favorite team is the Bucks, so I'm pretty excited for that as well. Giannis MVP is a pretty fun thing as well. But that's pretty much it. We do have this smaller slate here. News and notes, that there's going to be more news to break. Probably come 2 days from now, so that's definitely something that we'll have to watch out for. I will say anyone that is a member of 9 to 5 via PGA or NFL, I'm just going to post whatever content I want. It'll pretty much just be lineup talk, what I'm doing for that lineup. That'll be on the 9 to 5 page, whether you're a PGA or NFL member. That's where that will be for anyone that wants the premium content. But let's get into the slate for this 7/31 slate. All right, so I do want to start. We'll just go point guard position. So I do think James Harden right here, he's going to be a great play. Good price point for James Harden. Obviously, $11K is not too much for what James Harden can go out and do. You look at what he did against the Dallas Mavericks last time they played. He had a 70 burger on them. So, James Harden at this price point, I don't mind. He does seem like he could be a nice starting place for you. And then that being said, you got Luka there as well. If you can fit these 3 into your build, Luka, Westbrook, and Harden, I do like that quite a bit. It's going to be hard to do that, but obviously those guys could easily get you to 150 points. And pretty much my overall goal with NBA is to shoot for 300. And then if you can get to 300, it's just a matter of how much more can you get from there. But keep in mind, 300 should be the goal that you're trying to go for. So if you stuff these 3 in there, they should at least get to 150, and then you're going to look for some values that are out there. And there are some decent values out there that I'll touch on a little bit later on in this video. But Luka, he played well against the Rockets the last time that they played. I don't think he's a bad play. Obviously, he can go off on any slate. He had 60 against them the first time that they played. And then Westbrook as well. I will touch on it. He's like the cheaper of the options there, but obviously I don't think he has as big of a ceiling as them, but he still is going to be a good play. Westbrook had 60 against the Mavericks the last time they played, so all 3 of those I don't mind. The tricky part about this slate as well is that you got players that are listed out that probably won't be out, and that's something we'll have to wait and see a little bit, wait for the news to come out. You can try to force Lillard, Booker, Fox in there if you want, but I don't mind Ricky Rubio. I wish the price was a little bit better than this, but before the break, he was going off. It was like 12 out of 13 straights, or 12 out of 13 slates, he had outproduced this salary. And for me, what I mean by outproduced is pretty much 5x. I'm looking for at least 5x. So he had been super consistent. You see that one only dud in there was against Golden State. That game most likely was a blowout, 29 minutes. A little bit lower than his average. So, I don't mind Rubio. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but not a bad punt play there on the slate. Kimmel Walker is most likely going to be limited this week. We'll see. We got to wait in the news and notes. But if he actually is going to be limited, let's see here. Yeah. So Brad Stevens, he had given a bunch of his players some rest leading up to their opener for the restart. So if Kimmel Walker is going to be inactive, or I think he's going to be active, but if he's going to rest it all, then I really like Marcus Smart quite a bit. He actually has one off against the Bucks. He had 39 and like 35 DK points. So that's pretty solid, especially for this price point. Once again, I wish it was a little bit cheaper, but he has shown some consistency, down the stretch of the season before the break. So both players I don't mind. There are some deeper pump plays I like as well. I'll touch on those real quick. I'll touch on Dejante Murray. He is just a GPP only play. We know pretty much with him, he's either going to be a high upside guy or kind of he's going to throw a 17 in there like this kind of recent game history is telling us. But he did go off against the Kings the first 2 times they played. He had a 50 and a 30 piece, so don't mind Murray. I wish he was a little bit cheaper once again. That's kind of the theme. I do got to say, I do think DJ Augustine is going to get a little bit more minutes than some of the younger guys for the Magic. So it's like I think a lot of the teams are going to start to play their vets a little bit more because, well, they can. You don't have to worry about the season. So I do think vets will get a little bit more of a bump. I actually really like George Hill. So against the Celtics, he's averaged 20 DK points or more, which that would be over 5x. So at this price point, I don't mind George Hill as like a value play. So we'll stick him in there for now. I'll go back to some of the other plays as well. Ish Smith, don't mind. Yeah, he went for over 40 against the Phoenix Suns, so not a bad play, but we'll toss in Harden and we'll toss in Luka, and we'll see where we can go from there. All right, going to check the chat. So I'm going to check the chat for questions after each position. So let's see here. Billy is pretty excited for everything to be back. I see that, man. I get it. NBA is a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, it's a grind, but it's a lot of fun. I've had my most success GPP-wise with NBA. I've taken down a few on Yahoo and one on DK. It's definitely fun, nice when that happens. What's up, Game Theory? Thoughts on Cam Johnson? Don't mind Cam Johnson. Not really worried about Napier's minutes. Ish. I think they'll both get minutes, especially, with Rubio and Booker getting a ton of minutes. Those two might have to play quite a bit. I like Napier as price point. You look at when Napier does get 30 minutes, he's averaging well over 30 DK points per game. He's a guy that easily could go off for 40. Ish, if you like Ish, though, go for it. Those guys are both pretty much point per minute players. See here, got some more questions. Yeah, I do like DJ Augustine. I do like that thought quite a bit, and I think he's going to get the minutes. Once again, I think the veteran players are going to get a lot more minutes here down the stretch for every team. So not a bad play there. Polto would probably be chalky. You never know exactly what the Spurs are going to do, but yeah, he most likely will. So George Hill doesn't shoot the ball enough. It just really depends on who is hot for the Bucks. I just don't mind the play. Like I said, I think these veteran guys are going to get a little bit more playing time. All right, let's go back and we'll get into the shooting guards a little bit. I think I touched on most of them. Marcus Smart, I do like quite a bit, but there is one that I do want to touch on, kind of echoing the same theme of, let's go with the veteran guys because I think they're going to get a little bit more minutes. And obviously, if we're trying to fit Harden, Luka, and potentially Westbrook, we've got to find some value out there. So this is going to be definitely a punt play. I don't love it, but I could see J.J. Barea getting some minutes. I could see him getting 20 minutes. And if he does, he can easily go off for like 27, 20 DK points. Now, it is risky. We kind of got to wait and see what the news and notes are for this. But if there's any indication that he's going to get a little bit more of a minutes bump, definitely fire him off. I can see him going for 20 DK points. Obviously, this looks ugly on paper. He did have 28 against Houston the last time that they had played. Obviously, that's more of a punt play, but I'm just going to throw him in there just to see, if we can make this lineup work. Now, let's get into the small forwards here. Let's see if there's any questions. So really for me, I'm just looking for, just the best values out there. I don't really try to attack a game too much. I know that can hurt you some slates and, really benefit you some other slates. So that's kind of my strategy here. Let's see here. Thoughts on Boban? All right, I'll touch on some of these players when they come up. So I got a question about Seth Curry. Let's pull him up here because I already passed that position spot. So I was looking at Seth Curry a little bit. He wasn't popping for me too much. Obviously, down the stretch, he was playing pretty well, getting the minutes, but, he's a guy where if he's not shooting it well, he's just not going to play. I mean, you can roll with that if you want to. I just don't see it for me personally. That's kind of NBA, though. So NBA, there's never one right or wrong way. There's a bunch of ways you can have a profitable lineup. And as you guys know, that's pretty much my theme when it comes to DFS. It's just trying to make a profitable lineup. That's pretty much the approach I'm going with here. So we go with small forward now. So Jason Tatum, I actually don't like that much. He's done decent against the Bucks, but nothing spectacular. I think if you can fit Giannis into your builds, I know he's not small forward eligible on DK, but maybe FanDuel. I believe he was on Yahoo. So definitely something you have to check, but I don't mind it. Chris Middleton has done pretty well against Boston as well. I just don't like this price point for him. He's definitely juiced up a little bit. And then, you do have that Milwaukee worry where they just blow out a team, but, Boston plays them pretty well, and I think that'll be a close game. Really here, there's just a bunch of pump plays. You could go with Betty Hield if you want to. Don't love it. Kyle Anderson, if he was a value play, I would think about it. There's just a bunch of pump plays here for the small forward spot. So, I think Luka is pretty much just going to be the lineup path for us at the small forward spot. If you guys like something else, you can roll with that. I don't really see it. Nothing really clearly stands out. If you want to go with DeRozan, you can go with DeRozan. He had 26 and 40 against the Kings. He's just priced up a little bit too much, but I do like getting a 40 piece out of a guy that's under 8K. That definitely does stand out quite a bit, but I mean, maybe the break helped him. He was a little bit inconsistent this season. Last season, him and LMA were pretty much locks for 40 DK points per game. This season, they were kind of streaky, and maybe if LMA's out, DeMar DeRozan's going to be the one to go with. So I do get that thought process. He'd be the one that I'd go out of my way to get if it wasn't for Luka. We do have to watch Dario Saric and kind of some of the other Suns big guys if they're going to play or not. Let's see here. Any more questions? Troy Brown. Is he really? I have to look at that. I did not see Troy Brown. I do like that. That's the problem. It's who is actually going to get the minutes? I do remember Troy Brown being a little bit of a GPP. Let's pull him up. GPP hit or miss guy at the end of the season. It's one of those guys where when they're all out, he was getting the minutes. So I do get that. It's going to be interesting to see what Washington does just in general, because most likely they're not doing anything significant, and they should just play their young guys to kind of get the evaluation. It'll be like late season NBA DFS like it typically is, where everyone's a little bit testy with their lines because they don't exactly know which players are going to get the minutes. All right, let's move on to the power forward. Like I said, Giannis at under 11K going against the Celtics is something that I do like quite a bit. Just a good price point. He should be able to go off for 60, but he's like a lock for 55. So at this price point for Giannis, I do like that quite a bit. But I do think the Houston-Dallas game is going to be slightly better. So I do favor Harden and Luka a little bit more. All right, we'll go a little bit lower. There are some pay-up options you can go with. None of them really stood out to me too much. Someone already mentioned. Let's just pull it up here. So I actually don't mind Rudy Gay. 5.3K is a little bit too much, but he should be able to get 30 with LMA out. Don't mind that. A little bit more of a pump play. Definitely not as secure as you would like. But you got Jake Paul at the center spot. He's only that eligible on DraftKings. I wish he was power forward eligible. That'd make him a little bit easier of a play. I don't think Tyler Zeller is going to get any minutes, but he's a guy that if he got 20 minutes, 15 minutes, he could go for 20 DK points. So if you're really trying to fit some studs in there, I could see it happening. I don't think it will. But this spot for the Spurs is definitely somewhere where you should think about attacking, whether it is with Podol or Rudy Gay. Don't mind that too much. But once again, this is still the first game, the first slate that you can attack since break. You really don't know what these coaches have been, trying to do too much. Just be very interesting. So I wouldn't play too much for this slate. It'll be the next one or the next one after that where you really get the full sample size of what we should be doing. Let's put Giannis in there for now, because DK is kind of effing us on the power forward spot right now. There is one player that I do want to touch on a little bit as well. Just if some of the bigs are going to be out for the Suns, Diallo could be an option. I hate it, but to go 5x, all he needs to do is get 15 DK points, which for him, all he needs is about 15 minutes. If, like, Sarge is out or some of them are limited, Diallo could be a nice play. He had 28 DK points against Washington the last time that they played, so if that game ends up being a blowout as well, Diallo's going to get some minutes. So, punt play if you're trying to fit all those studs in there. So, you might have to do that if you're trying to fit all these studs in there. KP, he did pretty well as well. He had, let's pull it up here. He had 54 DK points against Houston last time they played. Not bad for 8.6K play. We know he has that upside to go for 60. You can see 70 there as well. Don't mind KP, which is a little bit cheaper, but just not a bad play. And then we'll go into the bigs now for sure. All right, so Vucevic, this dude's always consistent. He's just going to lock in 40 DK points for you. So if you guys don't want to pay up for the studs, you can go DeRozan, you can go Vooch, probably Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart, Shabazz Napier. That's going to be like the safer route to try to get to that 300 DK lineup point that I talked about earlier. So I don't mind that approach that much. So this is going to be a very interesting spot. The Memphis Grizz, it's more or less what the other side of the ball is going to do to try to stop Valanciunas. J-Val had 44 against them the first time out. Obviously, he's a guy that could easily go for 40 or 50 DK points. It's really hit or miss with him. It's whether the minutes are there or not. And typically, if they're not there, it's either a team's going small ball or he gets in a little bit of foul trouble. I don't mind this play at this price point because, like I said, he's a guy that could easily go for 50 DK points. It's definitely a hit or miss play, but I don't mind it. But we get to the other side of the ball, and I'll just pull it up right now. What's Portland going to do here? They got Whiteside, who obviously Whiteside's been pretty good. I do think he would get tore up by Val quite a bit. Maybe he gets some foul trouble. We know Whiteside can easily go off as well. I'm surprised that he's priced up that much because got reports coming about Yusuf here, who, I mean, Yusuf's probably the better player compared to Whiteside. It's pretty much even, I guess. You can make an argument for either of them. It's just going to be curious to see what they do there. They could definitely split minutes, and neither of them end up being a valuable play there. There's just a lot of center plays that I like quite a bit. We mentioned Polto already. I don't know if I have to cover that too much. And then there are two players that I do want to touch on a little bit lower down, and one play that I really like quite a bit. I'll just type it in. All right, so listed is out right now because he got the rest. He was really consistent, once again, right before the break, pretty much averaging 5x at that current salary, where all he needs to do is hit 25 DK points. Anything more than that is a bonus. Anything more than that is going to get you the flame on DK, which is always kind of what you're shooting for when you're looking at your lineups on your phone. Let's see what he did against them. So he had 25x. Or 25 DK points against the Bucks the first two times that they played. So really not a bad play. I do want to fit him into my build, so we're going to have to make some adjustments there. Probably have to take out Giannis there and, try to fit in a different stud. The last one that I do want to touch on is definitely just the punt play, but it's just in regards to the amount of big men that Portland has. I could see Gorgie Zhang. I always mess up his name. I apologize. Having to get more minutes just because of the amount of bigs that Portland has. I wish he was a value play. Then I would definitely think about it a little bit more. He's a guy that when he gets the minutes, he can easily go for 20 DK points. Nothing spectacular here, but he's a guy that could easily hit 5x. Definitely more of a punt play, but that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Like I said, I want to fit Harden in there. I want to fit Luka in there. Then I'm going to try to fit some values in there. So I'll try to do a fair and balanced build as well real quick. Touch on some of the other players that we liked quite a bit. So because I do like doing the fair and balanced approach. I'm seeing some questions coming in. Yeah, House, I think I like more of a GPP play. It could just be, the Westbrook and Harden show. That's why I'm pretty much locking them in. Let's see here. Got a lot more questions. I apologize, guys. The thing about the NBA DFS chat, too, it's like you guys can interact with each other as well. There's a bunch of news going out there. Definitely feel free to do that like you guys have been doing. Let's see here. Yeah, so honestly, the Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan situation is a lot like what I just talked about with Portland. It's tough to say exactly what the coaches are going to do after the break. Brandon Clark. Let me see that. That name did not pop. Let me pull him up. Instead of Zhang, I could see it. Will he get the minutes though? That's the question. He could. You know, if you're thinking about attacking that spot, I would just play both of them. You know, do 2 lineups, attack both of them. I like that quite a bit. That's a good idea. Let's see here. I like Napier. You guys already know that. Let's see here. Power forward spot. Just trying to kind of close out the build for you, just to get my full thoughts through. See, the power forward spot, I really do hate quite a bit. Who should we put in the power forward spot for this, guys? Trying to close it out. I mean, this is what's fun, though. I could do some more, lockdown videos, just going live, 10, 30 minutes before the lock. Obviously, 1:30 on Friday is going to be difficult. Remember, it is a 1:30 start time, which I kind of like because you get basketball throughout the whole day as opposed to 6 p.m., which kind of sucks some nights depending on what you're doing. Let's see. So we'll throw out House just to make some people happy there. We'll put him at the power forward spot. I do like that for his salary relief. We got 2 more here. Let's see. Jonathan Isaac. Dude, DeAndre Ayton I do like quite a bit, but the price point is just juiced up. Now he should go for 40. I kind of think there's just some other safer plays that are pretty much a lock to get 40. You got Vucevic right there, and then you got like Tice down there that I like that should go for like 30. I mean, you can play him. It's not a bad play. I just think there's better, more upside with Val. And then you got the Portland guys who definitely could go off if they get the minutes. So you can go that route if you want to. That's the thing with NBA. There's a bunch of right answers. It's more or less just being more right than everyone else. That's the problem with NBA. You could have all Flames on the slate on your lineup and not cash, which is kind of why I started to go away from it and why I really only attack it at the start or at the end of a season, because that's when you can really start to benefit and kind of differentiate from the normal chalk guys. And I think that's where we're going to get this slate. All right, let's see here. Got 20K left over. Could easily fit Luka in there if I wanted to. Westbrook, obviously adjust that somewhere where you guys see fit. That's kind of the lineup approach there. All right, you guys got any more questions in here? They like Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac I get as a play. That should be fine. I like Vucevic a little bit more. Obviously, Isaac's a little bit more hit or miss, but not a bad play. It's a good first NBA DFS video. These are not going to be long, by the way, as well. They're going to be capped at like 30 minutes, where the PGA videos, I do like to go a little bit longer. I just like talking PGA a little bit more than NBA. But like I said, once we get more into NBA, there'll be a lot more coming out. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for the NBA DFS stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I do appreciate you guys coming in. I will be going live for the PGA DFS stream here in about 30 minutes. So check that out for the PGA DFS stream. And if you guys are just watching this after I went live, really appreciate you guys coming in and watching the video. All right, thanks, guys.